Hi everybody, Ryan here. Today we're going to be talking about how to render out of Cinema4D. So right now I've got a Cinema4D file open. This is a project I worked on earlier this semester. So to start off, we're going to click on this little clapboard and gear icon, Edit Render Settings. And that's going to take us over here to the Output tab by default. Your project should be set up to 1280 by 720. This is part of the project requirements for Project 2. If it's not, you'll want to change that now, and if you do need to change it, you'll need to close out of here and scrub through your timeline to make sure that everything that you've made for your animation now fits within your new dimensions of 1280 by 720. If you've already had it set up at 1280 by 720, the next thing you need to pay attention to is frame range here. By default, it's usually set to current frame, so we're going to want to change this to all frames. This means that it's going to be rendering from the first frame of your animation to the last frame of your animation. Alright, the next thing we need to pay attention to is the Save tab. Let's click on that. And in this file window here, so right beside there's a button with 3 dots in it. You're going to want to click on that. And I'm going to go to my desktop. And I've already created a render folder, but for the purposes of this tutorial, let's create a new one. Project 2 render. And click create. And then now you have to name your file. Your project will not render unless you name your file. So let's call this first render version 1. And click save. So now it's got the path of where those files are going to be rendered here in my file window. The next thing you need to pay attention to is the format. For the purposes of this project, we're going to be rendering out TIFF layers or TIFF Photoshop layers. So you want to make sure that that is selected. And that's pretty much all you need to worry about in your render settings. So we're going to go ahead and close this window out. Then the next thing we go to is the Render Picture Viewer button here. And click on that, and your render is going to start. Each of these little boxes are your processor rendering part of that picture, and this is going to go on for the duration of your animation. Mine is 0 frames to 1,000 frames, so as you can see, this could take a while. So be conscious of that when you're rendering out your project. You should probably start this before you go to bed, that way it's finished by the time you wake up. One thing I should point out, let's go into System Preferences, and if your computer does go to sleep, it will stop rendering. So in System Preferences, go to Energy Saver, and your computer sleep here should be set to never. And so while your display might go to sleep after 15 minutes, your processors will never go to sleep, and it'll continue rendering until it's done. For the purposes of battery, you'll want to change this back after your render's done, but until that point, you want it to render overnight while you're not using your computer for anything else. Alright, thanks.